This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
We are following dangerous flooding this morning throughout south central Kansas. It's closing roads, closing schools, initiating water rescues. And it's why Storm Team 12 has issued a weather alert day for today.
We have Team 12 coverage for you this morning from across the region. Katie Johnston. Shane Kanicki is in Hutchinson. We have Melissa Murray monitoring road conditions and closures from our breaking news desk.
But first, we want to get right to Mark Larson. Mark, you've been telling us about another round of storms coming to Kansas, and this is going to add insult to injury.
That's exactly right, Natalie. We're getting a little break from the heaviest rainfall here in eastern Kansas right now, though. Heavier rain starting to plow away from flood-ravaged portions of south central Kansas. Not to say we're dry, because we aren't. Have a few thunderstorms in southwestern parts of the state, too. Nothing severe out there. As far as the severe weather threat for later on today, I think we could see some, hail to the size of quarters, some 60-mile-an-hour winds. But again, flooding rains potentially through this evening could be an issue. So that will definitely make the flooding situation even worse. Now, here's this afternoon. Thunderstorms in western Kansas will push eastward through, packing some locally heavy rain at times. Western Kansas will begin to dry out the closer we get to midnight. So a last wave of heavy rain and thunderstorms potentially moving through very soon. Temperatures right now ranging from near 60 in the southeast corner to the mid-40s in the northwest, with those areas of scattered showers and thunderstorms around. I think it could still be wet through 8 a.m. this morning. It looks like we'll have some dry time, 10, 11, right on through 2 o'clock as temperatures climb or struggle to around 70, and then thunderstorms likely at 4 o'clock or afterwards, packing some locally heavy rain and the potential for some gusty winds. We'll show you where that storm threat is and how much more rain you can expect in minutes.
Mark, thanks. We want to continue to talk about flooding this morning because it's an issue across the state.
Yeah, this is video from the Kansas Star Casino near Mulvane. That parking lot is full there because the Kansas Turnpike is shut down in Sumner County. Katie Johnson is there right now. We want to go to her live. Katie, what are you seeing?
Probably walk over that way to where the deepest.
Way further south because, excuse me, were you guys talking to me? Scott, Natalie, we're working our way south right now on the Kansas Turnpike because we just learned from authorities that the Turnpike is back open, and we also noticed that as we were driving southbound on it. However, the Turnpike is closed about 10 miles south of where we're at right now. We're at the Belle Plaine service area where there are dozens of trucks that have pulled over and stopped for the morning because further south at the Wellington exit is where the Kansas Turnpike is going to be closed moving forward until you get to the Oklahoma state line, and then again going northbound as well. It's going to be blocked off because of road concerns due to water that is over the turnpike at this point in time. Now earlier this morning we're making our way around the area of Kansas Star Casino and specifically into the Mulvane area because the closure was causing chaos. Roads everywhere in that area are closed due to the rising waters, and anyone trying to go further south than that, well, really it's just not a great idea right now because of those high waters. I spoke to one of the KTA workers who's directing traffic. He says in 30 years they've never seen flooding this bad. And then in Mulvane, we couldn't even get into that town at the time because water was over the road. Then anywhere we drove, again, trying to go further south of that area was also blocked off due to those rising flood waters. Now, since then, the rain has stopped this morning. The sun's starting to come up, so we're starting to see just how much water is on the side of the road as we're making our way further south towards Wellington, where we know that in Sumner County that crews had to evacuate at least a dozen people from their homes due to water coming into that area. Now, those evacuations we learned were never mandatory, but police strongly encouraging them because of the flood concerns. Then also US 81, that's US 81 north of Wellington to the county line, is also closed this morning due to standing water. Now, Melissa Murray is at the breaking news desk standing by. She has more information about school closures because, Melissa, these areas, they're just so flooded that nobody can drive through.
Yeah, that's right. We actually have those school closings listed on our website and our KWCH12 app. We want people to be aware of that. We also want to let people know that emergency crews are having to rescue people from flooded waters this morning, and that includes in the city of Wellington. We have Chief Tim Hay on the phone from the Wellington Fire Department to explain what his crews have been doing this morning to keep you safe. Chief, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so if you could just tell me a little bit about what your crews have been up to this morning. We'll start with that. When did you start those rescues and how many of those have you done?
We started responding to flood-related calls last night at 10:10 p.m., and that included water in basements, vehicles stalled in water, electric lines down. Things progressed from there. We have a small creek that runs through the center of town. It's called Rock Island Slough. It came out of its banks, flooded several residential and commercial structures on called North H Street. We also had some houses flooded in an area where some softball parks are along this creek. So we responded to numerous calls for people stalled in the water, needed help getting out, and we did go into a couple houses with a boat and remove some individuals from there.
So how severe, if you could kind of describe it for us, since we're not able to see it ourselves, how severe would you say the flooding is in Wellington at this point?
Well, this was, we haven't seen flooding like this since like the early 80s along this creek. We understand we have around 7 inches of rainfall here in less than 12 hours, so, you know, our storm drains and the saturated ground just made flooding conditions imminent.
Sure, absolutely. And what do people who live in the Wellington area need to know at this point? Do they need to be, should they be self-evacuating? Is that something that your crews would let them know if they were in danger?
The fire and police personnel have went to all the structures that border this creek, let them know what's going on. Those homes that are flooded, those have been evacuated. So we're going to monitor it. As the daylight comes, we'll get a better look at what's happened.
And then last question for you, anything that you can share with people about the importance, because this is something our meteorologist Mark Larson has been talking about this morning, the importance of not going through standing or flooded waters at this point.
Very important. That's why the majority of the vehicles that were stalled in water, the rescues we made, are people that tried to drive through flooded waters or went around barricades.
Okay, and I guess if anyone else gets themselves into an emergency situation, what's the best thing they can do at this point?
Right now, just call 911.
Okay. All right, Chief, thank you so much for talking with us, and stay safe this morning.
Melissa, thank you. We showed you video just now from Sumner County. The impact of this flooding is widespread. Also following reports of flooding this morning in Hutchinson. Many of you called into our newsroom overnight to tell us about water rescues and overflowing streets. You can see this video Randy sent us around 2 o'clock this morning. There's water flowing over the curb and rushing down the street there. And that's why we sent Shane Kanicki to Hutchinson to find out what you can expect when you head out the door this morning. We want to check in with him now live. Shane, what are you seeing where you are?
Well, Natalie, right now we're at First and Pershing in Hutchinson and kind of giving you an idea of what you're talking about when dealing with those flooded roadways. Right now we're in the middle of the road, and I'll walk towards the curb a little bit here with these rain boots. This is going to be kind of the deepest parts of these roads, and you can see as I continue walking, it's getting up there pretty high on my shins. And even further over here in the middle of the roadway, down this road, down First Street, deep waters are what you're going to expect there too. I mean, to the point where it's almost coming inside of the top of my rain boots. So keep that in mind if you are headed out here in these areas. We had someone kind of pull up to where we were before, made the right choice, turned around, didn't try to drive through this because like we've been talking about, like Mark's been mentioning, you don't know exactly what's waiting for you underneath this water if you are driving out here. And we have a list of those road closures and flooded roadways on our website. Definitely want to check that out before you head out the door so you can plan your route accordingly so you don't run into anything like this. We'll have more information and more checks on the roads here in Hutch coming up in just a bit, so stick with us.
Shane, thank you. We're also getting reports of schools closing. Now, the closures include USD 205 Bluestem, USD 263 Mulvane, 353 Wellington, 357 Belle Plaine, and 396 Douglas, as well as 403 in Augusta. Now, some districts are delayed or running mud routes. There's a 2-hour delay for USD 220 Ashland, then USD 294 Oberlin and USD 467 Leote are open today but running mud routes. You can find the full list of closings and delays right now on our website and on your KWCH 12 News app. For our website, just go to the main page and click on the closings tab and the delays bar right there at the top. It's in yellow.
There are evacuations happening right now in Augusta. Here's what we can share with you at this point. Several water rescues were conducted overnight. There is severe localized flooding in Augusta. 7th between Walnut and Lulu is not passable right now. Walnut at the South City limits is closed. Lulu is closed south from Harrington. Several residential streets in that area are also closed, and crews are closing dikes around town as well.
More rain and thunderstorms out there right now. However, the rainfall rates pale in comparison to what we saw earlier this morning. And those areas of rain moving off to the northeast. We'll take a closer look at those in a second. Stanton and Morton counties, some stronger thunderstorms moving through there. They're moving to the northeast at 35 miles an hour. It looks like some penny-sized hail and some brief gusts to around 40 miles an hour headed for the Big Bow area by the top of the hour. More on the radar and show you how much more rain you can expect in minutes.
Expect more from KWCH 12. This is Eyewitness News This Morning. Online at kwch.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
One more wave of heavy rain and thunderstorm activity coming our way later today and tonight, and that's led us to the Storm Team 12 weather alert. The rain on the wane, thankfully, along the turnpike, whether it's south of Wichita or up here through El Dorado and Matfield Green. Still some rain and some rumbles of thunder here in southeastern sections of the state, areas that don't need any more rain because definitely we saw up to 5 to 10 inches in a few spots. Flash flood warnings continue for several counties here. This is where the water is running the highest. This is where there's that imminent danger due to the high water and roads covered with water in several of these counties. This afternoon, late this afternoon through the evening hours, a risk for some hail up to the size of quarters and 60-mile-an-hour winds. I think a better bet for more intense thunderstorms of a widespread nature farther to our southeast. The chief question this morning, especially if you're watching the water rise in your neighborhood, how much more rain? Probably a half an inch to an inch more through about midnight tonight. Future tracks showing you rain and thunderstorms out in the west, but a little dry time here in the east, and then those areas of rain and storms by drive time crushing us here in eastern Kansas once again. So a few morning showers and storms, then another round later today for the east, lower 60s to lower 70s for highs today. Tonight, around 40 to the north, mid-40s to the south. Thunderstorms move out as we head through the after midnight hours. 60s to lower 70s here for the metro today. A couple of claps of thunder this morning, and then heavy rain and thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Thunderstorms winding down here as we head toward the midnight hour and beyond. Lows in the 40s. More on your forecast, of course, only minutes away.
Mark, thank you. Strong winds in Cowley County caused some train cars carrying hazardous materials to tip over. This happened west of Highway 77, south of 42nd Road. It happened west of that's south of Rock. No injuries were reported. A BNSF hazmat crew inspected the rail cars, and they say there is no danger to the public right now, but crews are working to upright the rail cars, difficult with the rain we're seeing, and restore service to the track.
We want to thank all of you who have been sending us your storm shots. Sarah sent us this one of flooding overnight in Hutchinson. This is around 1 o'clock this morning, showing conditions on 4th Street. She told us there was major flooding at a lot of streets across the city, leaving them underwater. So, Sarah, thank you for sending them. If you have them, send them to us on your Storm Team 12 weather app. We want to keep this in front of you this morning as parts of Kansas are under a flash flood watch until later this evening, and that means there's a chance your street, your yard, even your basement can flood. This is what one Wichita neighborhood looked like yesterday. You can see the water over the curb, flooding intersections. We spoke with a master plumber about what it takes to keep all this water out of your basement. He says you should make sure your sump pump is working by pouring a bucket of water into it and listening for a click. If you hear a click, that means it's working and should keep the water out of your basement. He says in addition to getting the water out, he says you also need to make sure it flows away from your home.
Downspout coming down, taking all the roof water down and all the way out, 20 foot away from the house. This is a perfect example of how to get the water away from the house.
He says if you have erosion along your home's foundation, that can cause your sump pump to stop or to work twice as hard and may lead to flooding in your basement. It could even cause added stress to your foundation and lead to a crack.
We want to show you some of the images we're seeing this morning. Thanks for being our eyes across the state. Becky sent us this picture from Cowley County. This is Road 61 near Udall. She wanted us to see all of that water overflowing the ditch and covering the road near her house. Hopefully she didn't drive through that. That looks very deep. Now, you may have noticed we encourage you frequently to send us your storm shots. We make it pretty easy to do that here on your KWCH 12 News app. Your pictures and videos help us tell the story of how the storm system is impacting Kansas. All you do is click submit your photos. Very easy. The National Weather Service also wants to see your pictures. That picture on your phone of hail or a funny looking cloud might seem insignificant, but the National Weather Service uses your pictures to help track storms and save lives.
Pretty much anybody can be a spotter now. Anybody can take a snapshot of the hail that's falling or a tree branch down. It's really important to us because it's not just impacting them, it can be impacting their friends and neighbors upstream and stuff like that, and then we can then relay that better.
You're probably seeing flooding in your neighborhood this afternoon. You'll probably see storms. If you want the National Weather Service to see your pictures, this is all you have to do. Just tweet using the hashtag KSWX, Kansas Weather. We have the latest tweets with that hashtag pulled up right now, and you can see hundreds of pictures and videos that Kansans have posted from across the state. Like the National Weather Service said, tweeting your pictures helps keep you and your family safe.
The flooding across south central Kansas is causing major problems. Katie Johnston has moved from the Kansas Star Casino going further south. She's now in Wellington, where there have been some water rescues overnight. Katie, where exactly are you and what are you seeing?
Scott, Natalie, right now I'm at the Wellington exit from the Kansas Turnpike, where you can see just behind me all the traffic that's being diverted off of the interstate right now. Several semis, vehicles, anyone who's trying to make their way south past Wellington, they're just not able to do so. And right now that's not a good idea to even try to travel further south because the water in that area is so high. Now, the rain may not be coming down right now, but the water is still high from those creeks and those ponds, those rivers. So it's flooding the area, causing standing water over the roadways, and it's just not safe to travel over there. Then a little bit further south, or excuse me, a little bit further west over in Wellington, we know that crews are evacuating, or earlier this morning had to evacuate at least a dozen people from their homes. You heard from the Wellington fire chief just a moment ago when Melissa had him on the phone. And right now these folks are going to have to find a different route to get to the Oklahoma state line, if that's the direction they're traveling, because between Oklahoma and Wellington, again, the Kansas Turnpike is shut down for the time being while they work on trying to figure out how to get that water to come off the roadway. And Mark, right now you're tracking this storm that's causing a lot of wet weather for most of the Kansas. What's the latest?
Well, the rain letting up where you are there right now, Katie, and that's some good news for flood-ravaged portions of south central Kansas, but it's only going to be a temporary reprieve. Take a look at the radar estimate of rainfall here, and where you see these darker hues of purple and also some grays right there from Wellington on up into southern sections of Butler County around the Douglas area. Radar estimates of 6 to 10 inches of rain. We're going to get some confirmed reports here from observers as we work our way through the morning, but it won't surprise me if we see those kind of totals. Weather alert day today, some showers and then thunderstorms likely as we work our way into the afternoon. Another round coming through. This is 4 o'clock on the future track. Mostly heavy rain and thunderstorm activity. Not a lot of severe weather. Showers start to break up as we head toward midnight. A few showers in the west, but dry here in the east at daybreak tomorrow. 54, gusty wind out of the north tomorrow, bringing in some much drier air, thankfully, but temperatures are going to plummet. They're going to be about 15 to 20 degrees cooler than average for May. 62 Friday, we start to turn the temperatures around, a mix of sun and clouds. 60s to the east and a little cooler in the southwest where you may catch a thunderstorm. A chance for a storm Saturday night. Mother's Day Sunday. Looks like partly cloudy skies by afternoon and highs in the upper 60s to lower 70s. Pretty good looking Sunday coming our way. And next week, a chance for rivers and creeks and streams to recede. A stretch of dry weather with high temperatures in the mid to upper 70s right on through the middle of the week.
Mark, thanks. Today is Wednesday, May 8th. We have some birthday wishes to hand out. We begin with Brenda Jacobs. Hope you have a fabulous birthday, Brenda. And Brenda Moody. Happy birthday to you, too.
Christy Thompson also celebrating a birthday. Happy birthday, Christy. Angel Galvez, happy birthday to you. Great photo, and congrats, Angel. You are the winner of an Eyewitness News This Morning coffee mug provided by McPherson Dental.
We're also following reports this morning of flooding in Hutchinson.
And many of you called into our newsroom overnight to tell us about water rescues and streets that look more like rivers. That's the case where Shane Kanicki is right now. He joins us live from Hutchinson to show you what you can expect. Shane.
Guys, we're here at First and Pershing in Hutchinson. As you can see here, we're standing on what looks to be roads that are clearing off a little bit. Earlier this morning, this was all covered with water. It does look to be receding a bit, but there still is some deep water out here. There are some deep spots out here on First Street, so be aware of that if you are headed out in the area. We got a hold of Reno County Dispatch. We asked them about situations, emergency situations here in the area. They say nothing working right now, although they are finishing up a water rescue at US 50 and OB Road. But like they said, it is wrapping up right now. So good news on that front, but still some flooded roadways you're going to be dealing with here in the Hutchinson area. You can find more information on what roadways to avoid on KWCH.com and our KWCH 12 mobile app, guys.
Shane, thank you. Be safe out there. It's a Storm Team 12 weather alert day. Future track shows more storms will add insult to injuries. It's just the start of the rain today. Stay with us for full Storm Team 12 coverage from our reporters in the field and meteorologist Mark Larson.
And take a look at this picture Dylan sent us using his Storm Team 12 weather app. This is the view from his front yard in Leon this morning around 2 o'clock. It's a little hard to see because it's dark, but he says there's 14 inches of standing water in his front yard. So thank you, Dylan, for sending us this picture. It really helps us cover the weather. If you have pictures on your phone, make sure to send them to us using your Storm Team 12 weather app.